Let's come back to plant toxins and start really broad here.
Yeah.
What are some of the healthy fruits and vegetables people are eating, quote unquote healthy, that are actually causing problems?
Yeah, I think most of them actually could be put in that category, to be honest. And again, it's going to depend on the person, but you know, let's take broccoli, right? Broccoli has a host of anti-nutrients in it. Spinach is another big one. Spinach, kale, right? These are loaded with something called oxalates that, again, are damaging to us, can contribute to that leaky gut forming. Oxalates form crystals, right? That can be thought of as basically daggers, right? That start to damage the gut, and they can get into our joints and start to contribute to things like, gout and other inflammatory sort of gout joint disorders. So most of the plants, right, understand the reasons that the anti-nutrients are there is it is the plant's defense mechanism. Plants don't want to get eaten, right? Um, Broadly thinking about life on this planet, right? Every species, the goal of that species is to continue to propagate, right? You want to be able to reproduce and make sure you persist. Um, Animals, right? Our defense is animals can run away, animals can fight, right? So that is how animals defend themselves. Plants can't. Plants can't move. Plants can't really defend themselves in that physical manner. So the plant defense system that evolved is if when an animal tries to eat the plant, that animal gets sick, right? The rest of that animal pack, animal tribe, is going to learn, don't eat that plant. And these defense chemicals, right? These anti-nutrients, these toxins like oxalates and other things, are how the plant defends themselves. And we have to realize as human beings, um, our intestinal tract, our intestinal system, can't deal with that. Now, what's unique about some animals, especially the ruminant animals, right? They can deal with those defense chemicals. They can actually start to detoxify them. And therefore, they are more adept at and more designed, you can say, or have evolved to be able to eat the plants. The ruminant animals extract the nutrients from the plants well, and those nutrients then end up in the meat, in the fat of that animal. And we as human beings are designed to then eat the animal, and that's how we get the nutrients from the plants. We were not designed, we are not optimized to get the nutrients directly from the plants.
When you were talking about fermentation, you mentioned the fact that it can help with the toxicity of some of these plants.
Yeah.
Any other methods of preparation people can use to have that same impact?
Yeah, all of the really, cooking methods that we came up with, right, for plant products, and it can start with things like soaking and sprouting, and then just cooking in general, right? These are all ways to help detoxify and also help to start that breakdown process, right? When we went back to the basics of digestion, right? Again, the types of enzymes that we have within our digestive system are not optimized to break down plants. They're optimized to break down animals. So we have trouble in a lot of cases breaking down the plants. And when you start to soak something and sprout something and cook something, that starts that breakdown system. So now we can, eat these plants and start to extract nutrients. So again, Dr. Schindler is probably the best resource in the world. I would point people to his book called Eat Like a Human, where he really goes into it took a lot of work for our ancestors to figure out how to make enough of these plants not at least overly toxic to us, but there are still some persistent low-grade toxicities that, again, we don't fully recognize all the time, that end up contributing to this.
For somebody that wants to include plants in their diet, at least right now, what would you say are the safest of the ones people are eating?
Honestly, I think that's going to depend on the individual. And this is where I utilize the carnivore diet as a great elimination diet, right? Because when we reset the system, when we take all of the plants out and, you give it 30, 60, maybe 90 days of doing that, and you get to what is, for most people, sort of an optimal state. And then you can start to selectively add things back in. This can be a good way to figure out, what you react well to and what you don't react well to. This I find to be particularly applicable for people that are dealing with things like autoimmune conditions, dealing with the gut dysfunction, the leaky gut. One of the powers of the carnivore diet is it is the best elimination diet that human beings can do. Again, meat is the simplest food that we can exist on. And so, you kind of do a reset with it, and then you can start to figure out what plant products you react to and what ones you don't. And for a lot of people, the reality is that, probably most fruits and vegetables are okay to eat in some level. Um, However, uh, they are not essential to human health. The one of the big, kind of messages that I aim to get out to people is the carnivore diet is a perfectly valid dietary approach for human beings. Meat is medicine, I tell people, and meat is actually essential to health. The plants are optional. Some people tolerate them just fine, and if you enjoy them and you wanna have them and you're tolerating them well, then I tell people, "Go ahead," They are a whole real food, and so they fit in my kinda, high level schematic of what we should be eating, whole real food. But they are not essential. This messaging that we have gotten, that you need your veggies, that, certain nutrients are only available in plants is just not true. Human beings can get every essential nutrient that they need from meat and meat alone. And there is nothing unique that are in plants that we cannot get from meat. The opposite is not true, by the way. Plants do not have all of the essential nutrients that we need. And that's why people that are doing vegan diets, they need to supplement to remain healthy. Um, Carnivores do not. So ultimately, like I said, I put the plants in the category of if you want them, for a lot of people, they're not going to be harmful, and you can feel free to eat them. Uh, there are a fair number of people, though, that they are harmful, and they can be subtly harmful, and you need to acknowledge that. And, you need to be pretty selective about what you're putting in, and you need to ask why. Why are you putting it in? Because if we start with the basic thesis, right, that the reason we eat is to get the nutrients that our body needs and to get the building blocks that our bodies need. And we can get that all from meat, which we can, and we can optimally extract it from meat, which we can. Then why are you putting the plants in? Right. And it becomes a very different conversation about how we're constructing our diet.
Are you currently consuming any plants on a regular basis? And if so,
No.
why?
No, I'm not. Like I said, I maintain and have maintained now for a long time a, carnivore diet. The vast majority of what I eat is from the animal kingdom only. Now, the reality is that I don't react negatively to plants generally. I can eat them. I just don't choose to because I'd rather have the most nutrient dense product, and a carnivore diet has just worked great for me, so I continue to do it. But yeah, there might be a situation where I have an occasional plant product, but it's not something I do on any sort of regular basis.
Since you made it to the end of this clip, I know you're going to love the full episode. Click here to watch. I'll see you over there.
Early on in my career as a heart surgeon, I learned there was a link between oral health and heart health. People that have periodontal disease, those people are at higher risk of having